Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a special edition of the Meet JMT podcast. My name is Jennifer, and I am your host and digital marketing manager here at JMT. During this multi-part series, we will be diving into a topic that has deeply impacted many of our employee owners, the recent hurricane named Helene that swept through western North Carolina and the surrounding region. In this episode, we'll be sharing the first-hand accounts of our Asheville, North Carolina employees and how this natural disaster changed their lives, both on a personal and professional level, as well as the incredible strength that has emerged from this challenging experience. Our hope is to not only highlight the difficulties faced, but also the sense of community and support that has blossomed in its wake.
Hi, everybody. I'm Reece Shuler. I'm the North Carolina Operations Manager. I work out of the Asheville office. Here to speak a little bit about what transpired about a month ago with the Hurricane Helene. It's definitely impacted our area quite a bit. We're sitting here in the Asheville office. Big celebration. I think it was about a week and a half ago. We actually had water suitable to flush a toilet, but it's still not drinkable, hence the bottled water. Making coffee with it and all sorts of things. Been a very interesting, to say the least, experience over the past month or so. Most of the staff, actually practically all of the office staff, actually reported back very quickly, even though technically speaking, our office was not allowed to be open due to the fact we had no water. We ended up getting I think it was a 200-gallon water truck to have out in the parking lot so people could haul 5-gallon buckets of water to flush the toilet and just try to keep things as clean and sanitary as possible. So just to speak from a personal level of, I guess, what transpired with me during and after the hurricane, my house is actually in a relatively low-lying area. It's in the 500-year floodplain, and made the decision probably on Tuesday that we needed an alternate location to be during the storm. We didn't want to ride it out. So I got a hotel room about 4 or 5 miles away, and me and my family located to that to ride the storm out. I actually got the hotel room for Thursday and Friday night. And if you don't know this, the rain that we had on Wednesday afternoon, Thursday, was almost as much as we got during the actual hurricane itself. So I woke up Thursday morning at 6 a.m., looked in my backyard, and saw that the water was at my house, at the foundation at that point. So I scrambled and frantically got my wife and daughter out of there while I did what I could to get valuables off the floor and mitigate the pending flood that was going to come. I left Thursday afternoon, got out of there, and basically waited to see what happened and what transpired. My wife's uncle was actually staying at the house. He was going to try to, keep the water at bay best he could. And about 9:30 Friday, he actually sent me a video of the water coming into the house up on the front porch, and ended up getting about 6 or 7 inches into the first floor and flooded the crawl space. And my personal, what happened after that was that next week, I ended up not working at all, got some help from some of my coworkers, and got all my valuables out of the house into a storage unit just to, protect what we have. Came back to work a week later, and I saw a lot of the things that had transpired with people bringing in supplies for us from various states, Kentucky, Tennessee. I think South Carolina brought a truckload in. And then Matt Nuttall came about a week or so later, and just the outpouring of goods and supplies and the outreach from the JMT community was wonderful. A lot of people couldn't have lived without it for a few weeks. I know my daughter, who lives in a condo in Asheville, she came over 2 or 3 times, also with some friends of hers. And the fact that we were able to, help out people, not only coworkers, but family, friends within the area, was definitely heartwarming. The other thing I would notice, with what happened at my house, the thing that I noticed just for the community at large, my neighborhood is mostly up on a mountain. I happen to live at the bottom. I'm the one house. There was a lot of homes that had trees falling around the house or a little water that came in the basement, but I won the prize as to getting the most water in the house. And the outpouring that I got from my neighbors I've never really met, they were coming, what can I do to help? They were helping me load my truck. They were taking, goods to the storage unit. And it was just wonderful to see that people are people first. We're here in the election season, there's politics and everybody gets riled up about that. But when there's a person in need and needs help, people are stepping up and providing that support just for whoever it is, neighbors, friends, somebody that just needs help. The one thing I do, I guess from a work perspective, want to touch on, I'll do that now. One of our main clients here is North Carolina DOT, and I'm sure everybody's seen the videos of all the road damage that's happened. We were actually contacted by the DOT prior to the storm to be prepped to basically provide whatever manpower they needed and be on standby and on notice. And of course, as the operations manager, that should be integral to my job, is making sure that happens. Because of my house situation, I was not able to do that. So I want to give a big shout out to Dwayne Brown, who is actually the deputy CMO, mostly for the Southeast. He was the former COO for Vaughn and Melton prior to the merger. So he just jumped right in. I think that the week prior to the storm, I think he worked like 80 plus hours just running logistics of bringing people in from not only across the state, but we brought people down from Pennsylvania. Okay. I think we actually had one inspector who was up in Maine the week before working on a federal project. And I think we brought in about a dozen out of state folks to help with some of the damage assessments for NCDOT. And the fact that I was not able to be a part of that, but had the backup. I also want to give a big shout out to a number of folks who really stepped up. Tim Powers, Bobby Norris, Tara Best, particularly jumped in with both feet, coming from Greensboro area, from Georgia, and spending long hours, and are still spending long hours, seeing out the work required by DOT in the Marion District just east of Asheville. In fact, Tim had some opportunities specifically to go back to his existing assignment in Greensboro and made the statement that I'm in here. I want to see this out. This is what the state needs. I'm going to see this to the end. I'm sure there's others in the mix that I have neglected to give a shout out to because there's been so many people who have been working long hours for the needs of us in Western North Carolina. So I guess with my personal situation with my flooding, I now have a lot of cutting out of sheetrock and floorings and all sorts of stuff that needs to get done, and kind of made the decision that I was going to try to tackle it on my own, but tackle it with family, friends, co-workers, just because they're, as bad as my situation is, there are hundreds of people in this area that have it worse than I have. I still have a good job. There's a lot of people in this area that they're not able to work because there's no water. There's a lot of service industry workers here. They're out of work right now. So I have to feel very blessed with that. Mentioned neighbors helping me out. There's, I think, half a dozen of my co-workers from the Asheville office are coming to my house on Saturday to help remove the last bits of drywall and haul stuff out for FEMA to come pick up hopefully soon. I also will give a shout out to two folks with a geotechnical firm we do a lot of work with. I talked with Matt Brewer and Mike Walco. They live in the Charlotte area. We worked together for years. They pretty much demanded that they wanted to come help. So they came up, they spent, 10, 12 hours with me and got about half of the demo work done. So big shout out to them for that. That was just wonderful. As I mentioned before, I made the decision to, relocate from my residence because I had a feeling something was coming when they were talking about 20 plus inches of rain. I pretty much predicted that we were going to have water in the house and decided I needed to find higher ground at a hotel. I think a lot of the loss of life, particularly, and a lot of the full loss of houses that happened in this area after doing a couple of project tours with DOT was the landslides. A lot of people that lost their house, like their house is a half mile away, it was because of landslides that were just triggered from oversaturated soils. These are houses that they were not anywhere near a floodplain. They were on, the side of a mountain, and the mountain gave way and everything in its path went with it. That's where I think most of the deaths actually occurred. I will say there's also a particularly with the locals of Western North Carolina, they have very strong ties to the land. A lot of people, particularly in the lower valleys, that it was their grandfather's house. They'd seen storms before, nothing to this level and extent. And, yes, they were predicting heavy rains, but I don't think any of the predictions were as high as 30 inches. And then some areas got up to about 30 inches of rain. And I don't think any weather forecaster predicted that even, right before the event. The actual hurricane passed through very quickly. Felt like 20 minutes, but it was probably an hour or two that it was actually that tropical storm force. And I actually tried to go to my house Friday afternoon. And of course, the water level was rising, and hindsight, it was quite stupid. But I almost got stranded by rising water on I-26 and ended up getting back out. But then Saturday, tried to get back to my house again. And what should have been a 10-minute ride was a 2.5-hour ride because there was really only one road to get there. I think the first warnings came, Thursday afternoon. The county issued a warning that if you're within the 100-year floodplain, you need to seek higher ground. And then I think Thursday night, they pushed that to if you're in the 500-year floodplain, which was me, you need to seek higher ground. Just looking at the maps, for my particular spot in the world, the event was somewhere between 1,000 and a 1,500-year event. That's what the mapping said. It was probably in horizontal distance, it was at least 20 to 30 feet beyond where the 500-year storm line is supposed to be.
Thank you for tuning in to another Meet JMT podcast, where we explored Hurricane Helene's impact on our JMT employees and their remarkable resilience. We hope this episode is a powerful reminder that while we can prepare for many things, we can never fully anticipate the unexpected. As we reflect on the strength and the unity shown during these challenging times, let us embrace these experiences and continue to support one another. Stay safe, stay connected, and we'll see you next time.